Hey everyone, in this lecture we are going to discuss the concept of map. A map is an interface just like the set, and it contains two elements, key and the value associated with it as a pair. And the keys are unique, they have to be unique in nature, and they identify the values. So basically a map is just a collection that consists of storing, retrieving, and manipulating data that come as a key value pair. We have a lot of examples for the map. A dictionary is one of them. In the dictionary, you have a word, which is a key because it doesn't have duplicates, and then the definition associated with it. Okay, the same thing for translation. So you may have a translation, like let's say the word in English is the key, and the equivalent in a different language, could be Spanish, French, or any other language, that's the value associated with it. That's a good example. I'm sure you can find many more examples. Now, since a map is an interface, then we need classes to implement it. So we're going to be using HashMap and the TreeMap. Okay, there is also a linked HashMap, but we're going to just focus on these two. All right. So what is the difference between, what are the similarities and differences between these two? Well, now both of them, let's start with the similarities. Both of them, they implement the map interface. And both of them, they won't allow duplicate keys. So that's something that they share. But the difference is, the main difference is that the hash map won't maintain ordering on keys. So it's not required to sort the keys in order. But in the tree map, the keys are sorted based on the natural order, whatever that order might be. So if you have integer, for example, it will be in ascending order from the smallest to the largest. If you have string, it's going to be in alphabetical order and so on. Now, because it doesn't require order, HashMap is more efficient, has a better performance than a tree map. So that's also another difference. Now let's move on to the methods. What are the methods that are frequently used? So we have put. Put basically is just adding the elements made of key and value, so two at the same time. And then we have get. Get basically retrieves the value associated with the given key. Remove will remove the elements from the map. Contains key, as you can see, it returns Boolean. So it checks if the key exists in the map, it returns true if it's there, and then false otherwise. The same thing for value. If it exists, it will return true, otherwise false. Is empty basically return true if the map is empty, there is no elements, and false otherwise. Size, it returns an integer, which is the number of elements in the map. Of course, when you create the map for the first time, the size will be 0. Clear, it just remove everything from the map, just empty it. The key set, basically the list or the set, since it returns a set of all the keys. Because it doesn't accept duplicate, that's why it returns a set. Values, it returns all the values in the map. Now let's have an example how this works. All right, so let's start by declaring a hash map. So you start with the hash map. Remember, we said that the map is an interface, so we cannot create an object based on map interface. We have to use either hash map or tree map. And now we have the key, that's the data type for the key string, and integer is the data type for the value, because they come as a pair. So I'm going to call it HB or HM. And then we say new hash map, then the same thing, string, integer. So this is how we create an object of hash map. Now by default, as we mentioned, the size will be 0. So if I put HM size, so it returns 0 because there is no element at this point. And then, of course, if you call is empty, it will return true because it is empty, is empty. Is empty means there is no element in the map, so we haven't started adding elements yet. Now, how do we add elements? We use the method put, and we have to include two elements, the key. So let's assume that we have the names of students or employees, let's say students, and then I'm going to use them as a key. Now, you have to make sure that you don't have any duplicates. So we are going to, or you can use student ID. So student ID is more likely to be unique because there are no two students who have the same student ID. But just for the sake of, just for this example, we're going to use the name. So let's say Mike, and then he got, let's say, a grade of 96. So here the keys are the names of the students and the grades are the values. And then I can put also like another one, let's say Steve. So let's say Steve, he has 84. And then let's say a third student, let's say David. And then it's say 100. Now here, if I try to add an element that already exists, let's say, for example, Mike, and then let's say I put 98. So what's going to happen, print line, oh, we got to put HM that. So since it already exists, so it's going to replace the old one, and then it will return, because a put is a return method. It will return the old value, which is 96. So now if I run the program, it's going to return 96, which is the old value. You can see, so you can save it, you can do whatever you want with it. Now, what about if I try to print something that is added for the first time? Let's say I have a new one, Maria, for example. And she got, let's say, 74. So since this element is new, it's going to return null. Why? Because this is the first time you are adding Maria. Okay. So remember, put when you are adding an existing element, it will return the old value. But if you are adding a new element for the first time, that it will return null. Okay. Now let's print the entire map. So if I print it, HM, it's going to give us like all the elements, keys and values, side by side, separated by equal sign. So I messed up like this. So if I run the program, you can see the map is like a table. So you have the key, equal sign, and then the value associated with it as a pair. Okay. Now, since it is a hash map, can you see there is no order right here? It's not ascending, it's not descending. Now, if I change it to TreeMap, so if the order is important to you, then using TreeMap would be better. So here, as you can see, if I run the program, it's going to put it in order. And so here, D, David, Maria, Mike, Steve. So this is an ascending order. So that's the main difference between the two. Okay. Now, how do we print, like let's say, or access different elements? Let's say I want to print the individual elements, not as a map. But let's say print the values in the map. So there are different ways. You can either use a for each loop or for enhanced loop. I'm going to say here for every string, because the key is a string. So for every string S in the keys. So how can I access the keys? Well, I can use hm.keyset. Like in the table earlier, we talked about the key sets. So for every string, then you can print both of them. second print first one, the S, which is the key, maybe like a little space to separate them. And then how can I print the value associated with it? So we also learned it it's in the table. You're going to use the method get the key, which is S. So get key will give you the value. So this will print the entire map, but as individual element, not as a map, as you can see right here. Okay. Now we said that earlier that when the put method returns null if it is for the first time. And then if it's not the first time, it returns the old value. So we can use this one to basically create a table frequency. Like let's say, for example, I have a letter grade. If I have an array of letter grade, like A, B, C, D, F, like the grades of students. And I want to know how many people got A, how many people got B, how many got C and F. So let's have this example. Let's say we call it grades. So if I put here A, let's say, and then this is C, and let's say this is another A, and then here I have B, and then I have another A, and then I have F, and then I have a B, and then I have, let's say, C, and then I have another A. Just an example. So I want to basically create a little table, what looks like a table, where I have the letter grade and then how many. Like let's say 4 people got A, 3 got B, and so on. So how can I do that? I can use the map. So let me create the map. So let me use TreeMap because I want them in order. So let's say a TreeMap, and then it is string because that's the letter grade, and then how many I have for each. So that's an integer. So I'm gonna call it just TM. And then new tree map string integer. So now it is empty, right? And then I'm gonna cycle through the array, and then I will check. I'm gonna say here for every grade in the grades dot length. So that's for every grade. So I'm cycling through the array, and then I will add it to the map. But how? I'm gonna check if the there are two ways. Either I'm gonna say if H, or that's the name TM. If TM contains key, so that's one choice. That's GR. That means if it is there in the map, then I just have to increment. Like if it's 3 times, 4 times. If it's 1 time, 2 times. But if it's the first time, then I have to start from 1. That means this is the first time I have A, so it's going to be 1 time. So I have the choice here. Either this, or I can use get. I'm going to put if it gets S is null. Remember we talked about this. If it is null, that means you are the first time. So if TM that gets GR, sorry here. If it is null, okay. So if it is null, then I'm going to add it. So I'm going to put TM that put S or a GR, and then it's going to be the first one. I'm going to put 1. Because that's the first time I have. Let's say, for example, the first one, A. Do we have A in the map? No, that's the first time. Oh, put A1, A1. Now C with C1. Now what about the second one? It's not null, so I just have to increment. So I'm going to put A2. So I'm going to put here else. That means if it's not the first time, so you're going to put whatever the grade is, and then whatever the value is, which is gets. And then add 1 to it. That means increment it. If it's 2 times, make it 3 times and so on. Okay? So this will make sure will create a table for me. Now let me print it and see. So print the map after inserting the grades and their frequency. So I'm going to put system out print line cn. So let's see here. If you run the program, you're going to see, there we go. A is 4 times. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. What about B? We have only 2 times. C, also 2 times. What about F? Only 1 times right here. So you can use this code that we talked about earlier. So to basically create a table frequency to count how many times something is repeated in an array or array list or whatever data structure you have. I hope you find this video useful. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.